Hi, and welcome to this on-demand training on creating a forward-thinking board. This on-demand training is brought to you by the Health Center Association of Nebraska, or HCAN. For more information on HCAN, please click on the following link. Well, let's get started to learn about becoming a forward-thinking board and the 5 areas of governance. Before we get started, we want to think about why it's important to be a forward-thinking board. Well, one, forward-thinking boards keep an eye out not only on present issues, but really on the future. They focus on strategic initiatives that will sustain a health center into the future. A forward-thinking board is able to make adjustments, pivot, or even be malleable as needed for longevity. And finally, be open to ideas brought to you by the CEO. So let's get started. Forward-thinking boards, number 1, focus on governance. They understand the difference between governance and management. So take a couple minutes right now and look at this graph and look at the difference between governance and management. Have you noticed the difference? Governance oversees implementation, while management implements policies and procedures. The second thing about forward-thinking boards is that they have strong board and CEO relationships. Remember, you want to make sure that your CEO has a job description that is up to date and reflective of current practice, and that the performance evaluation is reflected on the job description and achievable goals set for that position. Finally, you want to make sure that the board of directors receive education on the roles and responsibilities required for a health center board. The third thing to think about when it comes to a forward-thinking board is to have effective and efficient board meetings. Well, what does that mean? Let's look at some best practices. This best practice to be a forward-thinking board is to receive the board packet at least 1 week in advance. This really does allow board members to review the information and come to the meeting prepared to have discussion. You also want to make sure that staff reporting to the board are not reading their report, but providing a summary of activities so board members can have discussion. And remember, really the goal is to capture discussion of information provided to the board and then documenting it in the meeting minutes. We must remember that the board need to receive information that can support decision-making. The fourth thing to think about is to have a healthy board culture. Well, what does that mean? A healthy board culture involves utilizing Robert's Rules of Order to facilitate how board meeting minutes are conducted. For more information on Robert's Rules of Order, please look at the resource slide at the end of this training. Another thing to think about is to have open and honest conversations. We want to have board members accountable for attendance and behavior at meetings. And finally, don't forget, decisions are made as a group and based on information brought to you by the Health Center Key Management Team. The fifth thing to think about as a forward-thinking board is working towards becoming a generative governing board. What does that mean? Well, generative boards of directors use monthly meetings to seek more information, question assumptions, and also seeking the meaning behind the solution. A couple of examples, as you can see on the slide, are some generative thinking questions. So for example, what is the meaning behind the increase of maybe a chronic issue within our community? What do we want our health center's legacy to look like 5 years, maybe 10 years down the road? And finally, we want to make sure that as a governing generative board, we're working within our committees and then come together to identify, discern challenges. For more information on how to become a generative board of directors, please view the other on-demand trainings provided by HCAN. Here are some resources that may be helpful to you as you move your way through becoming a forward-thinking board. For more information, please feel free to contact HCAN or myself. Have a great day.